love, dating, and marriage.
Hi there, my name is Dr. Kingsley Okonkwo, and I want to welcome you to this channel and to this video. So today, we're talking about 4 behaviors that can ruin your relationship. All right? 4 behaviors that can ruin your relationship or marriage. All right? Because these are things that could be happening consciously or unconsciously, but they are going to do damage to your relationship. Okay? And I think everyone is taking note of them and be able to address them to make sure they do not destroy your relationships. You see, relationships don't just fail, people make them fail, either by what they're doing or by what they are not doing. That's how it works. So relationships don't end or break overnight. They end or break over time. All right? It doesn't break overnight. It breaks over time. Okay? So by the time you continue to allow some things or do some things consistently for a while, there's a great chance it's going to end. Or you have certain attitudes or behaviors in that relationship consistently, then it's going to end or break. So I'll look at just 4 of them today. There might be more, probably more, but I just want to look into this 4. So number 1 thing that can ruin your relationship is a lack of responsibility. You see, some people just totally yield and submit to their feelings. All right, they have no sense of responsibility for their actions. And it usually happens when people even start the relationship that way. You know, they fall in love. You know, they believe they are hopelessly and helplessly, you know, in love, and they can never take responsibility for any of their actions, because everything they're doing is just, you know, this is how I feel. This is just how I feel. I must act out my feelings all the time. If you're going to succeed in a relationship, then you must have a sense of responsibility. You must realize that relationship's success depends on you. All right? You cannot totally surrender yourself to just any way or anyhow that you feel. You must have a sense of responsibility. So having a lack of responsibility usually can affect relationships. All right? This means I do not just act the way I feel towards my partner. All right? I do not blame somebody else for how things are in my relationship. I take the responsibility for whatever is going on. Okay? It's very, very important. So number 1 is a lack of responsibility, elevating your feelings above your better sense of judgment. You just feel, you know, I don't feel in love right now. I don't feel like talking to you. I don't feel like. Once you are totally surrendered and yielded and submitted to your feelings, you're not going to make it. All right? You're likely not going to make it. The second one, number 2, is a lack of responsiveness. All right? A lack of responsiveness. All right? And there are many studies that have shown this. That one of the things that can either make a relationship work or not work is how you respond, your responsiveness. In fact, they call it a bid for connection. All right, people like Gottman and the rest have done great studies on this, but I've always known this. You know, how you react whenever your partner is reaching out for a bid. They call it a bid for connection. So every time in a marriage or relationship, your partner is seeking to connect with you by their little actions, and how you respond to them at that time will, to a great extent, determine if that relationship will work. So what do I mean? The one that made me realize this vividly is when those earlier days, I would send my wife a meme from Instagram, a funny story, a funny post, and she would not respond. So I tell her, no, you can't. So when I now finally saw people like Gottman and Co. doing it as a study, and I said, I was trying to tell you, there is a bid for connection. When your partner comes into the house, on that example, you know, and you ask them, oh, how was their day? And they say, wow, the day was just rough, or it was just somehow. And you do not, you know, ask them exactly what they mean. You do not seek to continue that conversation. That response they gave you was a bid for connection. How you respond to them also would have helped both of you connect. They're seeking to connect with you. Sometimes women do this one more. They show it by their attitude that they are not in a good mood or their day was bad. And women expect men to read their minds, read the room, and read their attitude. That's how women just work. I don't know why, but they're like that. Women just want you to read their minds, read the room, read the environment. And most men sometimes are just, caught up in their own world, clueless about that. And, just as how is that, she just says fine, but you can see her face is down, but you don't bother to ask. In fact, most men, when they see a woman giving attitude, their own wisdom to it is to give her space, because that's what the man would like. But a woman, when she's feeling down, she doesn't want space. She wants companionship. She wants you to ask what's going on. So your responsiveness, ability to respond to the need of your partner per time is very important. And sometimes your partner is not going to ask you directly. They're going to expect you to notice and feeling that need. Sometimes they're even going to ask you directly. So you must become responsive. Relationships or marriages break when there's a lack of responsiveness. You know that your partner likes a certain kind of food. Do you respond? To connect with them at that level. Do you respond to meet that need? Your partner needs to do this thing or wants to do this thing. Marriages that thrive, you notice they are very quick to respond to the needs of their partners. And marriages that will fail, you notice there's a total lack of responsiveness. Somebody is craving, nudging, even begging and asking for a certain need to be met. It might be physical, it might be emotional, it might even be sexual in a married context, and their partner is just not responsive. All right, that could be a challenge. For married couples, talking about sexually, for married couples, sometimes a lot of men, sometimes want to have sex, they don't want to make love. And for women, most times, women usually more want to make love than just have sex. So you see, both of you have to be in a position where you are able to responsiveness to that partner's need. All right, you need to know that. So as a woman, you need to know that at times the man doesn't even need the long story, just wants to get to the point. So there are days that should be the game. Now, for you as a man, you should know that at times your woman wants the whole works. She wants to feel loved. She wants making love, not just having sex. So you need to, even if you're tired or stressed or preoccupied with other things, you show up. Okay, so it's that lack of responsiveness. Once partners go on and on and on without their needs being met, it now becomes a problem, and it will definitely ruin a relationship. So number one, lack of responsibility, owning up to that this relationship is your job. Number two, lack of responsiveness, seeing the needs of your partner and not rising to the occasion. Number three, a lack of restraint. Lack of restraint. So this is when someone or people in a relationship do not understand that you need to show restraint. In a relationship, managing your emotions is crucial. So you can't get angry to the point where anything is allowed or anything goes, as we normally say it. Where I've seen people that once they're in an argument or they're quarreling, there's nothing off the table. There's nothing off limits for them. So they use all kinds of words on their partner that they're going to sleep with on the same bed tonight, on the person that is going to prepare the food they're going to eat tonight. All kinds of words, totally no limits. It's always a big shock for me, the kind of language I see some couples use on each other. Fool, bastard, bastard, as I normally say, idiot, bloody fool. Your mother didn't train you well. You're a big fool. I mean, how? If in a relationship or marriage where there is no restraint, where anger is allowed to go to any length, insults and abuse goes to any length, those kind of relationships usually will not last. There has to be restraint. Another form of restraint is also boundaries. If there's no restraint in terms of boundaries, then you notice somebody's in a marriage or relationship and still sees the need to keep in touch with their ex. Oh, that is a big lack of restraint. Yeah, he's my close friend, my business partner. There must be restraint. You can't keep in touch with your ex. It's a dishonor. And the most common thing I hear is that, we didn't quarrel, or I won't turn into my enemy, but you are dishonoring the person you are with. That person is your ex for a reason. The person is your ex for a reason. You need to realize that. All right, they might not be bad. You might not be bad, but both of you were bad for each other. And somehow you did not get married, or you're no more together. You need to honor who you are with today by cutting off all communication with that person. All right, except it's something totally beyond your power. But I don't encourage. In my little understanding of infidelity and cheating, a large portion of it is from exes. From exes, they're easy because you're not having to start the whole process again. This person already knows you. You guys have a history. You have a plan. You have systems. You have structure. All you need is one chat. Just one chat can get the ball rolling. One call. Sometimes one comment on their post. So you are just playing with fire. All right? There must be restraint, boundaries. You cannot, there's a level of closeness you can have with the opposite sex. Even apart from your exes now, even the opposite sex, there's a limit to the kind of relationship, the kind of conversation. All right? You can't be giving somebody of the opposite sex a toe-to-toe detail of your day. Oh, this is what I'm doing now. I'm going to go for lunch and I'm eating rice. I'm eating chicken. Nah, you're already crossing the line. That's too much details. All right? Too much details with somebody of the opposite sex, especially somebody that is not the friend of both of you. It's just your friend and opposite sex. There must be boundaries and restraint. All right? How was your day? Have you eaten? That have you eaten is the worst. Is the sign of relationship. Once you ask have you eaten, you're in a relationship. Because that is showing care. All right? So you need to just be careful. There must be restraint, boundaries. All right? Boundaries. A lack of restraint is a third thing that would definitely destroy your relationship. And the last one, and this is not in any way exhaustive, I just speak for. All right? I just speak for. The last one is a lack of resolution. On that thing that can break a relationship is when both of you or one of you are used to quarreling or having disagreements that are unresolved. You keep and pile unresolved conflict continuously. Very soon, you see, almost everything impacts a relationship either positively or negatively. There's hardly a neutral event in a relationship. One is either building a bond or building the gap. That's how it works. One is building the bond or building the gap. So you need to be conscious to identify that this activity, this thing that happens between us all the time, is it helping or is it causing trouble? So even scientifically, they found out if you have a negative interaction with your partner 5 times, the ratio is 5 negative interactions before you have 1 positive one, so that marriage is going to end in divorce. That's what the statistics say. If you have 5 negative interactions, that means in a day, if your interactions, 5 of it, you have 5 consecutive that are negative before you have 1 positive one. So the numbers are not good. You are most likely going to end up divorced or broken up. So be careful of those unresolved issues. Make it a habit. You guys should develop a good way to resolve conflict, a mature way to have conversation, to yield, to be considerate of each other. If one person is always insisting to be right, one person is always, must be right, is his way or no way, always oppressing the other, and the other thinks they can cope with this, trust me, you can't cope with it. After a while, that marriage is going to break or that relationship is going to end. So there must be that ability for us to make up, ability for us to resolve conflict, ability for us to come to agreements, and not allow the disagreements to linger. You see, the more the disagreements linger, it becomes a resentment. Once it becomes resentment, what happens is that it creates a gap. And like they say, if you have entered the London train or anywhere that there's some gap before you enter somewhere, they say mind the gap. They write it there, mind the gap. So in relationships also, I will say mind the gap. All right? I'll say mind the gap, because that gap, as it keeps spreading, other things will fill the gap. All right? So be careful. Mind the gap. All right? So hey, hope this has been a blessing. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and do all the things you need to do. Follow also our sisters' channel, subscribe to them to be a blessing to you. If you need to talk to a counselor or a coach, reach out to us. Our details will be on the screen. Reach out to us. We do have a counseling and coaching service that can be of benefit to you, whether it's premarital, postmarital, or clarity sessions, or any kind of sessions. We will be willing to provide that for you. And if you are watching and you also have a flair to be a marriage or relationship coach, we have an academy that can train you in different aspects, whether it's infidelity recovery, basic counseling, marriage coaching, sexuality coaching, whatever it is, we can help you. All right, so reach out to us. We look forward to hearing from you. Thank you, and see you in the next video.